right, Keith, Everton have appointed Eric Williamson as a director. Does that make sense after his previous work with the Friedkins?
Well, I've got to say that there's a number of names now. I mean, I think Eric comes from Gulf States Toyota, if I understand correctly. And he's also been on the board of Roma, which, as I understand, is his only football experience. But as I say, there seems to be a bit of a trend here of a couple of people that have been around Roma. But apart from that, a lack of football experience. So that's one thing that obviously can be rectified in the days ahead. But at the moment, I think that's a little bit of a concerning sign. There's also rumours of Dan Friedkin himself coming in as chairman and joining the board. And that would mean Mark Watts stays as executive chairman while Friedkin himself would be chairman. So I think still room to add some more football experience, I think, would be helpful rather than just making it a Friedkin fest.
And would you be worried about, hiring a bunch of people who've been around that Roma situation? It hasn't gone poorly, but it hasn't gone super, super well. And maybe it's a little bit different over here in the Premier League.
Yeah, look, my concern would be not so much of that they've done, whatever's happened at Roma, but it's that there isn't a general knowledge of many different types of problems that can occur in football. If all they've learnt are the problems that happened at Roma, that's only one set of issues. But there are so many things around football clubs that can go wrong. I think you need a broader perspective and not just rely on the experience of one particular club's story.
And Everton and Leicester are accused by the anti-gambling body of breaching the Gambling Commission's demands by advertising gambling firms which are now unlicensed in the United Kingdom. Do you think they'll face a punishment for that?
Well, this is actually quite a story. When I started scratching the surface of this, it seems like one of the gambling pressure groups had almost manufactured this sort of complaint, is what I'm reading about. And it isn't quite as obvious as it may seem. It does appear that the clubs Leicester and Everton have actually done their due diligence, have done what they were supposed to do, and it was somebody actually trying to circumvent the rules, as I understand it, that created this particular issue. So it's not quite black and white. I do think that Everton, from what I can see, have followed the letter of the law, and the whole issue, as I think we've mentioned before, is that this is a global sponsorship, and that Stake, the company involved, certainly have got a large part of their business from overseas and not happening in the UK. And this whole sanction is supposed to be around getting people in the UK to join up, which I believe is not really possible or not promoted by Everton. But overall, look, I think there is a lot of work to be done by clubs in terms of do the due diligence on a lot of these gaming companies. I think that's undeniable, and I would hope they would do that. But of course, we're coming to the end of betting sponsorships very soon, and so that problem should be cleared up. But overall, it's been a very messy category, and I think the sooner that goes off of front of shirts, the better.
And the reports are that Everton have begun lowering that valuation for the stadium naming rights deal. I know you and I both thought they would have one long before now, but maybe they're learning from Tottenham's mistakes of waiting too long. What valuation do you think is fair for that stadium naming rights deal?
Yeah, look, I suppose it's a case of do you hang out for top dollar, or do you just wait, or do you just take whatever you can right now? I would tend to be of the view that you establish a category right now that is of the right price, and I think somewhere between 10 and 15 million pounds a year would be very valuable and the right price. I'm conscious of the fact that the Everton Stadium, as attractive as it may be, is not in the London market, and it therefore isn't going to get the publicity that a lot of the London stadiums will do around some of the big financial naming rights companies in London. So therefore, it's got that sort of limit to its appeal. But I think the publicity it's going to get for the next few years certainly means it's going to be that 10 to 15 million market. If they're waiting for 20 million, I think it would be wrong. I think you should go and take a naming rights sponsor, get something established on there. It's always normally harder to change into a second sponsor after 4 or 5 years, but still, I think it's worth establishing the fact. and then working hard on the stadium itself with concerts, etc., to show there's real value. So I would take the 10 to 15 million as soon as I could get it, I think.
And at what point do you think it's almost too late to impact next season's transfer budget for them to get in a potential stadium naming rights partner?
Very hard to say how close they are in the negotiations. I mean, it could be that the stage is that we're at legal situations and there's a date already been agreed. I think as long as they feel there's a couple of offers to choose from and they can decide to pick one, then you're still going to be in time to impact the summer. So the next couple of months are going to be pretty important to get something over the line. But yes, I do think we're getting towards the next sort of, by the end of May, I think you'd then be having problems in terms of impacting the transfer budget.